Evolution, a fundamental part of the Pokemon universe. So if you know about Pokemon, you know about evolution. They're kinda synonymous. But then why does this process still baffle researchers to this day? Probably because there's way too many damn methods. Seriously, you have the basics, level up, trade, etc. But then they throw stuff like flipping your 3DS upside down to evolve Inkay at you, and I'm just over here like, why is this necessary? I don't know, because Nintendo. Anyway, I'm John Mahogany, and today let's dive into the crazy world of evolution. Bible thumpers, there's the door.
The most common form of evolution, leveling up, is the process of evolution in which a Pokemon gains experience in battle in order to achieve evolution.
Sounds simple enough, right? Wrong. Mucking wrong.
Most Pokemon have an evolution line consisting of 2 or 3 Pokemon species. Those with 2 often evolve around level 30, while those with 3 first evolve around the mid to late teens and early to mid 20s, evolving again in their 30s to 40s.
And of course, there are these mofos who like to evolve at levels as high as 64. Hi, Dragon! No, for most Pokemon, the idea of evolution is pretty simple. It's actually easier said than done, as gaining levels and experience can actually be quite difficult, especially for these so-called pseudo-legendary Pokemon, who evolve at these ridiculously high levels. But on top of that, Pokemon can be really picky about how they want to evolve. Sorry, but you can only evolve me with max friendship 2 affection hearts while holding a silk scarf at 2:30 in the afternoon. Like, ho, what?
Beyond the simple gaining of experience, leveling up becomes an enormous chore outside bringing mass genocide onto poor unsuspecting Audino. Some Pokemon will only evolve if their friendship levels are high enough.
This method always pissed me off because to this day, I still don't know when I've reached this level. Like, it's not like I can just turn around and ask my Pokemon. Oh wait!
However, this is definitely not the worst of these extra conditions. Some Pokemon will only evolve in a certain location or while learning a specific move, which is often the case for Pokemon which have received evolutions in later generations, like Mr. Mime, who can only evolve from Mime Jr. if it knows Mimic, or Magnezone, who will only evolve from Magneton in Mount Coronet, Chargestone Cave, Kalos Route 13, Hoenns New Mauville, and the vast Pony Canyon. These locations have what is known as a special magnetic field, which allow this evolution to occur. This is also a method of evolution for 2 of Eevee's evolutions, Glaceon and Leafeon, who will only evolve when leveled up near a mossy or icy rock.
Although, now that we have the Ice Stone, can we please just make all the evolutions evolve via a stone? I mean, Fire, Thunder, and Water Stones for the OG3, Sun and Moon Stones for Espeon and Umbreon, or Dawn and Dusk Stones, Ice and Leaf Stones for Glaceon and Leafeon, and a Shiny Stone for Sylveon. I mean, what's wrong with simplicity? What was I talking about again? Oh yeah, leveling up is BS.
There are, of course, Pokemon who do use these methods that have their evolutions introduced in the same generation, such as Charjabug, who can only evolve into Vikavolt in the vast Pony Canyon.
You know, that place at the very end of the game? I'm sorry, did you give me Grubbin on the first island only to make me wait until the end of the game to get its final evolution? That's Nintendo for ya!
And there's also Steenie, who can only evolve into Sarina if it knows Stomp.
As if that wasn't complicated enough, I have to take some caffeine pills to evolve Madang Riolu. That's right, there are Pokemon who will only evolve at a certain time of day. But guess what? Only if their friendship is high enough. Why? Why? I don't get it. Why you do this? It was hard enough trying to figure out when my Golbat would evolve and I have to wait till the stars align to get Umbreon? Muck you, Nintendo.
The last on this list of mucked up level ups is Sylveon. Oh, Sylveon, you basic hoe you. Sylveon will only evolve if an Eevee knows a Fairy-type move and has 2 affection hearts.
I don't know what that means either. Yes, there is one more method of level up evolution. I'm getting to that.
There's this class of hyper high maintenance Pokemon who will only evolve if you give them stuff. This includes Pokemon like Gligar, Sneasel, and Happiny.
This hoe is so high effing maintenance. Not only will she only evolve into Chansey during the day, who only evolves into Blissey with high friendship, mind you, but she will only do it while holding an Oval Stone.
At least Gligar and Sneasel's evolutionary items have in-battle effects. The Razor Claw raises a Pokemon's critical hit ratio, and the Razor Fang makes it so that all of a Pokemon's moves have the ability to make an opponent flinch.
But does the Oval Stone do any of that? No, it's just there to make Happiny evolve. It might as well be an evolutionary stone. At least evolutionary stones are more straightforward than leveling up. You thought grinding your mons on poor defenseless Bidoof would be easy. Boy, were you wrong.
As of Generation 7, we have 10 evolutionary stones, 12 if you count the Ever and Oval stones. These 10 stones have the ability to evolve up to 2 to 6 different species, all of which usually share a common type, such as grass types with the Leaf and Sun stones, or Ghost and Dark types with the Dusk stone. In Generation 1, the Leaf, Fire, Water, and Moonstones were used quite heavily, each of which evolving 3 to 4 species, but now their use has kind of died down.
I assume because using a stone is not as fun as buying your Tapu Koko from the Heya Heya Cafe and then having them level up while knocking out a shiny Eevee. You waste ute.
For the most part, evolution stones have been introduced in every generation, aside from Gens 3, 5, and 6. So, like, half of them. Most of the stones were introduced in Gen 1, with 5, and Gen 4 coming in a close second with 3. Meanwhile, Gens 2 and 7 only introduced one new stone each, being the Sun and Ice stones. The Ice Stone is a bit of an anomaly, as while the other stones evolve Pokemon introduced in their generation, this stone can only evolve Pokemon from Gen 1, being Vulpix and Sandshrew. Granted, these are their Alolan forms, so this could be treated in the vein of, say, Gallade and Frostlass.
But what confuses me is why they changed Sandshrew's evolution method. I mean, Vulpix already evolved with the stone, so why not keep it that way and just have a new Pokemon evolve with the stone? Like, I don't know, Crabrawler? It's Vikavolt all over again. Why? Why, Nintendo?
On the topic of Gallade and Frostlass, these Pokemon are evolutions which depend on a Pokemon's gender to evolve. This category also includes Pokemon like Combee and Salandit, who will only evolve into their respective Vespiquen and Salazzle if female. Meanwhile, Snorunt will evolve into Glalie via level up, but Frostlass if it is a female and given a Dawnstone. The reverse is true for Gallade. A Curly will become a Gardevoir no matter what, but if you give a male a Dawnstone, it will become a Gallade. Lastly, we have the Everstone, which isn't technically an evolution stone, but more the antithesis of one.
So would it be called a de-evolution stone? No. Anti-evolution stone. I don't know, that sounds stupid. Let's just stick with Everstone.
The Everstone works opposite to the effects of an evolution stone, in that it prevents evolution rather than induces it.
Now I know what you're thinking. Why the heck would you want to do that?
Well, if you prevent a Pokemon from evolving long enough, it can learn moves that it couldn't learn if it evolved, or would take longer to learn in its next stage.
Or you could just prefer the form it's at to its evolution. I know I like Stuffle way more than Beware, and I'm not breaking my thumbs just to keep it that way. Give me the Everstone, I'm keeping my Floof of Death.
While most Pokemon who require an evolution stone to evolve only have one evolution, Gloom is cursed with the sad existence of requiring 2 different stones to evolve. The Leaf Stone in Gen 1 allowed it to evolve into Vileplume, and in Gen 2, the Sunstone let it become Bellossom. But you think Gloom has it bad? Take a look at Poliwhirl, who, in Gen 1, could only become the godly Poliwrath with a Water Stone. But then, Nintendo had to go and make it all complicated and give it the award for the derpiest evolution in the form of Politoed, who can only evolve if you trade it while holding a King's Rock.
So you're telling me that not only do I have to track down my irradiated steroid rock, but I also have to find and steal the crown off the king's corpse, and then find someone to trade with? What do you think I am, social? And if you're anything like me, you know that trading has always been the most soul-crushing form of evolution. It's like Jesus for the GTS. For me, the idea of trading was always a solemn one. Probably because I had no friends, let alone ones who played Pokemon.
I got into Pokemon in a time when it wasn't even really popular amongst kids, at least where I lived, and any kids who were into it had always been younger or not as interested in the franchise as me enough to actually want to trade.
Or I just hated them. Then again, I hated a lot of people. But when someone who just annoys the crap out of you likes something you like, you hate them even more. Luckily, I was able to get my hands on 2 DSs, because I'm white and privileged, and didn't have to worry about socializing with the disgusting dregs of society to get my Alakazam.
Trading in and of itself is quite simple. Engage in a trade where you have one of these special Pokemon like Kadabra or Graveler, and it should evolve as soon as the trade ends. Of course, if you're doing this with a partner, you have to trust them enough to send it back.
Damn you, Juantissimo!
Fortunately for the Forever Alone like myself, there have been NPCs who will give you a trade evolution Pokemon, like this guy in Sun and Moon. But let's not forget this douche in Snowpoint City who gives you a Haunter holding an Everstone, and then proceeds to taunt you about it. Why? What did I ever do to you?
But in true Nintendo fashion, we aren't allowed to have nice things. Yes, I'm talking about trading while holding an item.
With the introduction of holding items in Generation 2, so came the method of trading while holding an item, in which the player would have to track down a special item and put it on a Pokemon before trading, such as the Metal Coat to get a Steelix or Scizor. These items are often given to you by an NPC, but are more likely to be found in a dungeon.
I'm sorry, Nintendo, but do I look like the Tomb Raider? I ain't got the hips to be Lara Croft. Or the skill. Or the... anything, really. Bad analogy. Now, we can't talk about stupid methods of trade evolution without talking about the notorious Shelmet and Carablast.
These little jerks will only evolve if traded with each other.
Now I gotta go bug hunting in 2 different games? lucky these evolutions are worth it.
Upon being traded, Carablast hijacks Shelmet's shell to become Escavalier, boosting its defense stats and giving it the Steel type. Meanwhile, Shelmet becomes a Selgor, having a raised speed stat. However, neither of them will evolve if one is holding an Everstone.
This seems like an unfair trade. I mean, Carablast gets the Steel type, but Shelmet loses its shell. Then, of course, we have the only Pokemon that reaches its final form by being traded. Twice.
Porygon becomes Porygon 2 when traded holding the upgrade, and into Porygon Z while holding the Dubious Disc. But be careful, if you're doing this to fill pages in the Pokedex, make sure to get your Porygon 2 back before trying to get Z, because I've made this mistake one too many times.
It was hell tracking down another upgrade, get all uncharted up in here. You'd think we're done, wouldn't you? We've covered leveling up, stones, and trading. So, what else would there be? Well, this is a category I like to call... I've saved the worst for last. These are the Pokemon who just don't make any sense evolution-wise. Now, while most of these methods involve leveling up, the extra steps just tacked onto them just really make them their own thing. And you can blame a good deal of that on Gen 6. You see, Gen 6 went on this weird crusade against perfectly fine modes of evolution in which they just kind of instilled all these weird, oddly specific sets of criteria for Pokemon to evolve. Now let's start with Pokemon who only evolve based upon the weather conditions. Now, there's only one Pokemon who does this, mind you.
Sliggoo can only evolve into Goodra if it's raining, but not in battle, no. Only in the overworld.
And if you didn't know, that's extremely rare!
We also have Pokemon who only evolve if certain party conditions are met, such as Mantike evolving into Mantine when a Remoraid is in the party. Or Pancham, who will only become Pangoro if another Dark type is on the team.
Alright, that one's pretty tame. But then there's the Hellspawn Shedinja itself.
When Nincada evolves, it has this odd habit of producing two evolutions. Ninjaska, rather normal evolution, but then if you have an extra Pokeball and check your party, you'll see... What the hell is that?
Don't worry about that. That's just your new soul-stealing Satan baby with your Ninja Cicada. It's a 2-for-1 deal. Don't worry. Of course, you will have to pay with your soul.
Now we have the aforementioned turning the 3DS to evolve Inkay into Malamar.
Don't even get me started on this one. Why, Nintendo? I got a damn squid level 40 before I figured out how to flip my 3DS over. Mock you all to hell. And then there's Tyrogue.
Tyrogue has the potential to evolve into 3 different Pokemon. At level 20, it will become Hitmonlee if its attack is higher than its defense, Hitmonchan if its defense is higher than its attack, and Hitmontop if both its attack and defense are equal.
I'm sorry, what? Nintendo, you think I'm too dedicated. I'm gonna just go get my Game Shark. Lastly, there is a Pokemon. A poor, unfortunate Pokemon who has 2 methods of becoming one Pokemon. Yes, I'm talking about Feebas.
In Gen 3, 4, and 6, we had access to Pokemon contests in which Pokemon were measured by a secondary set of stats, the most important of which is Beauty, as when Feebas has reached its maximum, it will become Milotic upon leveling up. But in Gen 5, contests were removed and they didn't really stick around after Auraz, so a new method had to be procured.
How, you may ask? Maybe using one of the special stones you've just introduced, or maybe with Max Affection in Gen 6. Ha! Don't be ridiculous. No, it's a trade evolution now. Ho! Somebody hold my watch, I'm about to bust a hoe up. Are you actually telling me that after I spent months tracking down this devilfish, getting all Ahab up in here, that I have to find people to trade it with this Lucky Charms looking prism scale? You expect too much from me. Well, that's it for the weirdos, but that's not the final form of evolution we have to talk about. Nope, there's one more form that was only recently discovered and we still don't know a whole lot about. You know what I'm talking about. Now, I can't tell you a whole lot about Mega Evolution as there really isn't that much information on it. But what I can tell you may intrigue you.
Mega Evolution was first recorded in the Hoenn region with Mega Rayquaza. Now, Mega Evolution requires 3 keys in order to work: a Keystone, a Megastone, and a strong bond between a trainer and a Pokemon.
Although in the games, Mega Evolution really has nothing to do with friendship or affection, even though it really should.
Now, according to some, a Pokemon will only be in its Mega state during the heat of battle, but the anime kinda says screw you to that. When a Pokemon Mega evolves, they change form in a way akin to a normal evolution. However, it's closer to a form change, really. In this change, a Pokemon's stats will change and maybe even its type too. Now, only a select few Pokemon can Mega Evolve, and some even have 2 Mega Evolutions, being Mega Mewtwo X and Y and Mega Charizard X and Y.
It's always Charizard. I'm kind of curious as to how scientists figure out the distinction between the X and Y Megastones. Are you telling me that the researchers are conscious of the game titles? And also, who just came up with the names of these stones to begin with? Like Mutanite Y, Metagrossite, Tyranitarite? I'm sorry, but I'd rather not do a tongue twister every time I'm going through my Megastones. Thank you. And that's about it for evolution. And you know what? I'm mucking confused. That was confusing. Evolution is confusing. Damn you, Darwin. No wonder scientists are struggling to grasp the concepts of this. It's just all so overwhelming.
From leveling up while holding items at a certain time of day, evolving based on a stat you can't see, a stat you have little to no control over, and a stat that has gone all but extinct, some evolutions being sexist, some evolutions being racist, others only happening in certain locations or while knowing a certain move, radioactively changing the biochemistry of your Pokemon by trading with a specific item, trading with a specific Pokemon, or only evolving through trade in general, spawning Satan's grandson, becoming Lara Croft, and unlocking a form of evolution in battle only. Who, what, why, where, how, why, gods, why?
My brain is fried just thinking about how much more complicated it's going to get in the future. Like what? Pokemon who only evolve when leveled up while soaring? Or is that considered primitive now? I need to lie down. Come get me when the Diamond and Pearl remakes are announced.
This is true. This is true.